Hello and welcome once again to another episode of Rambling Reviews here on Mason's Music Library. I'm your host Carl Mason, and in this week's episode I'm going to be unpacking and discussing the greatest selling album of all time. With an estimated 65 million copies sold to date, we have Thriller by Michael Jackson. Now, Michael Jackson is a man who needs no introduction, but for those of you who have only just found your way from living under a rock, Michael is the undefeated king of pop music, whose admiration and musical longevity have not since been matched, as his music has continued to inspire and enchant generation after generation of music lovers. The album Thriller was released in the fall of 1982 and was arguably one of the most significant albums of the decade, with its hit single after hit single. In fact, all 7 of the singles released for this album managed to reach the top 10 of the US Billboard charts. This album displays Michael's profound vocal talents, as well as his cultural influence. It also showed a new Michael, a more mature Michael, a side of him that had shed the weight of his child star perception and persona and showed just how much he had grown and how far he had come from the days of Jackson 5. This album kicks off with a real bang, opening with the song Wanna Be Starting Something, that sets this album in motion perfectly, with its lively production, funky bassline, and a Michael who is kind of showing that he will no longer be held back by the negativities and expectations of others. On this album, Michael really flexes and condenses all of his vocal talents, abilities and signature motifs that would go on to define his music. And with the steady hand of the utter legend Quincy Jones at the wheel of this production, this album would allow Michael the opportunity to truly shine, and it would forever change not only the face of music, but of society at whole. This album also contains one of the most unlikely collaborations of all time, with one of the most recognisable names in the industry, Mr. or should I say Sir Paul McCartney, on the track The Girl Is Mine. Now this song is really playful, it's really sweet, and you could almost feel the level of energy that these two share as it jumps out of your headphones. And this really brings the song to life, and it makes for such a smooth slow jam that sits fantastically in the context of this album. Now after this track, the album really opens up like a fine wine, as the listener is met with 3 of the most essential and iconic songs from Michael's discography. We have Thriller, Beat It, and Billie Jean. I mean, what more do I need to say? These big hitters would go on to absolutely dominate the airwaves to this day. I mean, Thriller would become arguably the most recognisable music video of all time, with its infectious sound and its super stylised dance choreography that would become iconic in its own right. Next up we have Beat It. That showed how much of a rock star Michael really was. I mean, he really flexed on his vocals, and he really pushed out some of the genre boundaries that had been perceived from him in the past. And it has such a gritty and powerful sound that comes thanks in no small part to the incredible guitar playing of Eddie Van Halen, who pretty much did this song for a laugh. I mean, it's one of the great musical alchemies that produced true gold. Finally on this 3-song lineup, we have Billie Jean, which features a real hiss as Michael exposes the issue that he and many of his friends had experienced, basically of women who were falsely claiming to be carrying their child. On this song he's not really spoken about a specific woman, but more about the issue at whole. This song is, whilst dealing with his issues, it still manages to be such a remarkable and unforgettable song that will echo through the halls of music history forever. Now, I would love to talk about each song in more depth on this album, as well as cover some of the songs I missed for this review, such as Human Nature and The Lady in My Life, but time is unfortunately not on my side, as I would like to take some time to discuss the cultural and musical significance of this album, because let me tell you, it is significant. Now, this album came out at a time of real fragmentation for music, as people had over time developed a relatively closed-minded view of the music that they were going to listen to, based on their individual subculture, their race, and issues like their class. Now, At this time in music, black artists really didn't experience the mainstream recognition and appreciation that they deserved. For example, artists such as Prince had been pigeonholed into the Billboard category of urban music, so artists weren't really getting the appreciation that was necessary for their music to evolve, and it showed a clear divide between black and white. Now, Michael and Quincy were no longer satisfied and wanted to bring out an album that would bring everyone together, no matter their musical devotion or their individual prejudice. And let me tell you, this album really did that, as on March 1st, Billie Jean became the first music video by a black man to be aired on MTV. Now, this only snowballed and smashed through the conventions of music culture, as the album would go on to win a record-breaking 8 Grammy Awards, including Album of the Year, Best R&B Song for Billie Jean, and even Best Male Rock Vocal Performance for the song Beat It. Now this is a perfect testament to how this album really broke free of the rigid genre boundaries. According to the Washington Post, Thriller paved the way for other African American artists to achieve mainstream recognition. And my friends, that is what good art does. It moves society forward and it shatters perceived boundaries. And most importantly, it brings people together over the shared love for it. Now, it has been my utmost pleasure to discuss this album. I truly love this album and I truly love Michael's work. And I will never forget the great music legacy that Michael was able to leave in his short time on this world. And although he's gone, the music he shared with the world will never disappear. But I would love to hear what you guys think about this album. I mean, it seems a little bit redundant, I know, because I'm positive that you guys will reciprocate the same feelings that I have this album. But I would love to hear what you have to say. So why not share your thoughts in the comment section below? And if you would like to see more from Mason's Music Library, why not subscribe to the channel and check us out on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. All links will be found in the description box below. And of course, as always, I'm going to leave you guys with my free song recommendations for this week's video. Starting with Never Too Much by Luther Vandross, 1999 by Prince, and Everyday People by Sly and the Family Stone. Thank you all for joining me, Carl Mason, here once again for Mason's Music Library, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Thank you very much and take it easy.